Welcome to the Life After Sugar podcast, the podcast that's not just about sugar, but about your relationship with it and also with food and especially with yourself. So if you want to discover your life after sugar and hear inspiring stories from all kinds of people who also cut out sugar in their way, at their pace, for their own reasons, this is the podcast for you. Because when you take away the sugar, you can finally discover the real sweetness in your life. I'm your host, Netta Gorman, and in this episode, I'm talking with Amy, who's a functional medicine nurse practitioner, and what that means is that she uses functional medicine principles to personalize treatment plans for individuals. Not just to treat illnesses or symptoms, but to really help patients reverse disease and obtain true health and healing. And my chat with Amy today is specifically about stress and, you guessed it, sugar. We'll get to our chat in just a minute. But first, I just wanted to tell you that if you're looking for some free resources, then I have plenty for you. First, download my 5 tips to get rid of cravings. And those 5 tips may not be what you think they are. So go to aftersugarclub.com and download your 5 tips today. Come check out the Life After Sugar Facebook page and subscribe to the Life After Sugar YouTube channel, as well as my Instagram account at MyLifeAfterSugar, which is where you'll get all kinds of inspiration, so that you can see that it's perfectly possible to live a happy and active life, even if you don't eat sugar. You can also check out my TikTok account at Netta_lifeaftersugar. All right, here's my chat with Amy. All right, so today I'm here with Amy. And Amy, can we start off by you telling us a little bit about where you grew up and how you grew up with food and sugar in your life?
Yeah, so I grew up south of Detroit, Michigan, and sugar in my life was we ate the standard American diet. My mom, for the most part, when we were little, we ate at home mostly, but it was still a lot of prepackaged and processed foods. And then as fast food became more popular, then we would eat out a lot more. It was just more convenient, especially going through high school or working and through college. It was just grab something real quick and eat that.
Yeah, and that was what, normal? Did all your friends do that as well?
I would say that's the American culture, especially I'm in the United States. So that's standard. I mean, you're the odd one if you don't do that.
Mm. And you grew up in which decade, more or less?
I was born in the 80s.
Yeah.
Early
Yeah.
2000s in high school.
Okay. All right. And then did anything change as you grew older and moved out and started making your own food?
Yeah, so as I started to make my own food, I would say after my education, I went to be a nurse first, and I went to be a nurse practitioner, and then I got certified in functional medicine. So throughout my conventional training, there wasn't really a lot about food and how it affected your health too much, besides maybe some high fat, avoid this for your cholesterol, that kind of thing. But it wasn't really until I went to all my functional medicine training where I saw more of the connection and all of my clients that were going through, it was all related to food. And every intervention with functional medicine, we talk about food. So it wasn't really until then that I started putting all of those pieces together.
Okay. All right. So can you explain to lay people like myself the difference between regular medicine and functional medicine?
Yeah, so what I call conventional medicine is where you go to the doctors. They spend about 5 to 10 minutes with you. They diagnose your symptom as a specific disease and they give you a pill for it, and that's about it. Where functional medicine, we spend a lot longer with our clients because we really get to the root cause. We look at diet, we look at exercise, we look at sleep, stress, what their past medical history has been and how they're just living. And we look for the root causes of their symptoms and we reverse the disease by working on the diet and lifestyle, supplements, and different protocols like that.
Okay, all right. And so when you decided to be a nurse, did you even know that such a thing existed as functional medicine?
Yeah, I actually did. My family, I would always say, is a little bit more crunchy than the average American would be.
Yeah.
So I always, my mom and my sister in my ear telling me about the things that they were learning, the things that they were changing. So through my nursing career, I always knew I wanted to be a nurse practitioner and actually go into functional medicine. So I kind of set myself up always looking and reading in that area as I was doing my studies.
Okay. So do I understand that functional medicine, the approach is to find the root cause you were saying, like what is actually giving you these symptoms, and that more conventional medicine, it concentrates just on the symptoms?
They concentrate on tests and medications to treat the symptoms. And it's
Okay.
like medication, or they can't do a test or a procedure to treat it. And then they really don't have any other tools in their toolbox to help you.
Okay. So you go deeper. It's like, did you have to have a lot of training to become um, like what is your certification? Is it functional?
Certified through the Institute of Functional Medicine.
Okay,
Um,
so you had to have a background already as a nurse to be able to study that. Is that right?
you have some type of medical profession to be able to get the certification. Yep.
Okay.
You have to go to many education modules and attend them, and then you actually have to take a test to get the certification. And then it was probably the hardest test even more than my nurse practitioner in functional medicine, because we're looking at the biochemistry. When you really understand the biochemistry of how the cells communicate, the nutrients that are needed for them to communicate, that's where the disease is. That's where the symptoms arise, is because the cells aren't working properly. And until we really understand that, nothing really else works.
Would you say that those two types of medicine are complementary?
Well, conventional medicine has its place for sure. Like if you need a surgery or there's something acute or life-threatening, then that's where conventional medicine is great. They know what to do, they know how to save your life, they know how to fix it quick and get you moved on. But they don't really work well with chronic health. People with chronic health issues aren't getting better, they're actually getting worse, and they're getting on every year another medication is added on. No one really ever gets off the medications from just being on medications without doing anything else. It's not solving the problem.
So is that the thing that you specialize most in, is finding out what is it that is causing the problem and what can you do about it, but especially what can the individual do about it who's experiencing these problems?
Yeah, I would say that's the heart of functional medicine, is finding the root cause. So there's many, I mean, just like a simple thing of someone comes in with constipation. We don't just give Miralax or Senna or something like that. We look at the root cause. I look at how that person's stress was throughout their life. I look at what antibiotics or steroids they were on throughout their life. Were they breastfed? Was it a vaginal birth? Like all of that plays into their gut health and why they're experiencing the constipation right now. Stress is a huge one that plays into that. If people are chronically stressed, then that can really lead to gut disruption. And if any of your listeners have ever heard of the gut-brain connection, if you have a leaky gut, you have a leaky brain, and that causes a lot of other issues as well.
That's pretty mind-blowing to think that, we often think if I'm stressed, then it's something out there that is stressing me. And that's the thing that needs to be changed. And it's a real big mindset shift to think, well, wait a minute, what about inside? Like, what can I do to reduce the stress? What in my gut, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, a gut is a big one. Sugar has to do a lot with our stress levels that people don't really realize. So, whenever you eat sugary foods, and if you are spiking your blood sugar throughout the day, so let's say we eat some cereal for breakfast, we eat some bread and some potato chips on a sandwich for lunch, with maybe a cookie, and then we eat fast food, something like that for dinner, which is a lot of people's regimen. You're spiking your blood sugar every single meal throughout the day. And whenever we spike our blood sugar, your cortisol also has to follow and spike as well. And when I say cortisol, that is where your body, from your adrenal glands, is creating a hormone that is causing stress. It's because your body is stressed. That's why the cortisol is being released.
So is it the cortisol that's stressing us, or is it the cortisol that's being produced when we're stressed by other stuff?
Yeah, it's the nervous system when it's responding to a fight or flight response. So I've done a lot of adrenal tests on clients, and it's interesting to see, like, I see huge spikes as soon as people open their eyes. So I always explain it like they're in the fight or flight, which is the part of the autonomic nervous system called the sympathetic nervous system. And that's where you think you're getting chased by a bear. So these people, when they would open their eyes, their nervous system is causing their adrenal glands to secrete the cortisol so high because their body thinks that it's not going to survive that day. And the only way to survive it is to secrete the cortisol and live in this fight or flight stage for the rest of the day until they can go to sleep. So they aren't sleeping well, and they feel anxious and they feel tired and they can't think clearly because of all that stress that they're dealing with.
And so the root cause, is it the stress that's making them feel like that, or is it something that they have control over?
Well, there's always stressors we have control over and stressors we don't. But what I do is I teach my clients to either get rid of the stress that they can. Sometimes that's relationships, sometimes that's jobs, sometimes that's boundaries with family members. And if they can control that, great. If not, the things that we can do on a daily basis to control the stressors that we can take control of would be different breathing techniques, eating a low glycemic diet, which means that we're not eating foods that are high in sugar. We're eating foods that don't spike our sugar or our blood sugar throughout the day. That's doing taking adaptogens as well. I use a lot of different adaptogens, which are supplements or teas or tinctures that help balance that cortisol that was being spiked. Like ashwagandha, that's a buzzword everybody thinks to know about, like ashwagandha. That's a really good one to balance your cortisol.
Okay. All right. So do I understand that eating sugar can make you stressed?
Yeah, I would say that eating sugar is definitely an inflammatory food, and it can cause a lot of havoc on our gut and inflammation in our gut, which then can change our microbiome, which can make us anxious, which can then make us stressed. So, yes, I would definitely say that is a good correlation.
It's like a vicious cycle, it sounds like.
It is. And I mean, we all deal with stress, especially I'm speaking to the US. We all live the go, go, go life. So the hamster wheel of doing everything all day long. And we it's weird that when I talk about just sitting and breathing or meditating or doing gratitude journaling or like some type of spiritual practice, people think it's weird. And like, why, how do you fit that like into your schedule? How do you create these things that help balance your cortisol and help reduce your stress? And we think the people that are able to do it are, I guess, have gotten it figured out, but they're just taking small little steps, one step at a time to really work on their health. And that's what I do in my job as a nurse practitioner is I health coach with clients to what are the little practical steps that we can start to create habits to make this a possibility that whenever you're stressed, we just do a simple 3-minute box breathing exercise and it can just get you out of that fight or flight into that rest and digest and lower that cortisol. It's just, and a lot of people think treating your adrenals or treating your cortisol is going to be expensive, but all the tools are really actually pretty cheap.
Yeah, if not free, actually. I mean, breathing is free as far as I know. And so, yeah, because we often think that if you're stressed, you can eat, a little treat, a sweet treat, and that'll calm you down. I used to think chocolate was really my comfort food. It would calm me down, whenever I felt stressed or anxious or anything like that. And I could not imagine how not eating chocolate would help my stress.
Yeah, for sure. Whenever we eat that chocolate, it's funny, our body knows what to do when it is stressed to help calm it down. Because when we grab that piece of chocolate or that sugar, what our body or what our brain is actually doing is trying to get a dopamine hit, which means that it creates that happy chemical for you. So you're not stressed or you're not sad anymore. You're in that higher state and feeling happy. And it's all the neurochemistry that's going on because you ate that piece of chocolate.
Yeah. Crazy, isn't it? It's what we think is true. Actually the opposite is true. And but it just feels so impossible. It feels like cutting sugar or cutting down sugar is the biggest stressor of all. I want to take a quick break to say that if this is your first time here, then welcome and thank you for listening to this podcast. And whether you're new or a regular and you haven't yet rated or reviewed this podcast, could I ask you to scroll down and tap on the stars to rate this podcast and also to write a short review to let me know how this podcast is helping you in your life after sugar. I love reading your reviews. And when you rate and review this podcast, not only does it encourage me to continue making new episodes, but it also helps to share this podcast and have more people see it so that we can help more people feel better and lose weight with less sugar. So again, thank you for rating and reviewing this podcast and for spreading the word about sugar.
And honestly, I was in that place where I couldn't figure out how to do it. Like I was teaching my clients, like I knew everything of how to do it, but I was failing myself. So after my third baby, that was the heaviest I've ever been. I'm working in a busy family practice 4 days a week. And I was still doing functional medicine in the conventional medicine world. So seeing patients more than busier than I wanted to be, I guess is what I would say. So I was stressed, had 3 little kids. And I just got to a point where I was like, I need to start taking care of myself. But why can't I make these little practical things that I tell my clients to do all the time? It is because I didn't have a health coach myself. You need a health coach. You need somebody that's on your team to figure it out. And I was not a good health coach for myself. So that's what I did is I got myself, even professionals that are in this world have health coaches. And that's where we come into play is people to keep us on track, to keep us accountable, and to help us realize what our goals are and how to meet those goals.
Yeah, totally. That's what I do as well. It's like if you can do it on your own, go ahead. But I certainly needed help, and the people that we help, there's no shame in needing for help or asking for help. It's a tough thing. It feels almost impossible to change your habits and to change your outlook, your beliefs. That is one of the biggest challenges. And how did you go from suffering, being exhausted and stressed to getting coaching and getting the result that you wanted?
So I reached out and got a health coach, and knowing like I still knew the tools that I needed to and what I needed to do. I just needed the accountability. So we created goals together, and I wanted to not, I would say most of my life I've done different yo-yo diets out there, the HCG, I've done the keto, I've done the Atkins, everyone out there. I've tried it. And I've seen so much success from my clients following my suggestions and tips. And I knew I needed to really do the root cause healing. And it was my time that I really needed to stop making excuses and just get in and do it. So I put myself on the autoimmune protocol diet, which is a really strict, hard diet. And I wanted to do that to heal my gut. I really needed my body to just take a break from all the inflammatory foods that I was eating and really just get to the root cause of what's been going on. I mean, I've dealt with acne most of my life. I was on many antibiotics. I did Accutane, all of that stuff. And it was all really when I did my own timeline and I did my own history of bringing it back to all my gut was unhealthy this whole time. So I really focused for a while on healing my gut. And then after that, I really worked on healing my adrenals and my stress level and my hormones.
Wow. Yes, because I often say on this podcast, one of the worst foods for gut health is sugar. And one of the best things you can do for your gut health is to cut out sugar, or at least cut it way down. And were you eating a lot of sugar in your life?
Yeah, I would say like every cup of coffee had a sugary creamer. You know, I'd probably have more than one or two of those a day. And then breakfast would be quick and easy foods, whether it be an instant oatmeal packet or some toast or something like that. And what people don't necessarily realize is that even though it may not have a lot of sugar, it's the carbs that break down into glucose too, into sugar that also really affect your health and your blood sugar overall. So yeah, I would say I wouldn't ever say like I've never had a huge sweet tooth, but my coffees, I guess, would be my sweet tooth. And that's still a big one that I am slowly getting rid of. And again, with all my clients, they all kind of freak out at first. Like, oh my gosh, if you want me to follow this, I'm like, it's only for a short period of time. So we can figure out what your food intolerances are. But then after that, it's all in moderation. Are you ever going to live without sugar for the rest of your life? Probably not. But I teach them the tools to know that when they get out of hand and they need to recheck, they know what to go back to. They know how to truly live to feel their best. And that's what I think was really eye-opening to me is after I did that diet, the autoimmune protocol for 5 months, how much better I felt. And then when I started, I mean, I slipped up. I ate some things that are sugary, right? Afterwards is I paid for it for a couple of days afterwards. And maybe my skin wasn't as clear. Maybe I was a little bit more tired. Maybe I was a little bit more bloated for those days. But it's as long as you're not continually doing it 3 meals a day for 365 days a year, that's really the key is reducing your load.
Yeah, yes. It's not something that is easy to do, but it's easier when you've got someone kind of holding your hand or leading the way, or even an example of someone who's done it. And what you describe of health professionals who very often health professionals or in the caring professions, they're the worst at taking care of themselves. So busy looking after other people. And it's why, sometimes I help people who are health professionals with their sugar cravings because they're like, I teach this to people, but I can't get it under control for myself.
It's actually a very guilty thing that we deal with as professionals because we don't want to be a fraud. Like we don't want to be that person that's telling you not to eat sugar and then you see us eating a cookie as soon as we leave the room. We want to also be living that same lifestyle that we're teaching. And we're also just human as well. We also have our own baggage and background and things that we're dealing with.
Yes, and as we can see, you know all the info, you know tons of information. And yet that doesn't seem to be enough to actually implement it or get the results that you're looking for. Huge challenge. And you're on that path. Um, you don't need to be perfect, I'm sure.
We all would like to be, but that's not the reality, right?
Well, maybe it's because I'm slightly older, but I have no interest in being perfect.
You became wise, that's why.
There you go. The upside of being in your 50s. But also because, some people think, well, you've got to be so perfect and disciplined to not ever eat sugar. And I don't ever eat sugar and haven't for 10 years. But it's got nothing to do with being disciplined or perfect.
So how did you create that change?
Small tiny changes at a time. For me personally, what you were talking about was that elimination diet for a short period of time. The thing that helped me the most is being open-minded enough to try it, to say, I'll give it a go. And without that, nothing else is possible.
Yeah, I think that's the first thing is the people, you have to be ready for it and be open-minded to it because it's a big thing to accomplish. And when you do accomplish, you feel so much, you're like, wow, I just did that. It was pretty amazing to go through that. And it just really boosts your self-confidence when you do
Yeah.
take that.
When you take that step and you see that it's possible and it's possible for you, and that what you may have thought was impossible may actually be possible. You can't find out if you don't give it a try. And it doesn't have to be forever.
You know, but after you do it, you realize that you'll want to be living this new life that you've been walking into instead of the old one.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you start, once you get rid of the brain fog and the cravings and everything else, then a lot of people, they're like, oh my God, I've got this new addiction to educating myself about sugar and gut health and that connection. And I'm curious because I teach people how to make their own fermented foods and drinks, kombucha and kefir and yogurt and kimchi and all that lovely stuff. Is that something that you're interested in?
Yeah, so in my 35 weight loss blueprint, I offer recipes and menu plans and grocery lists for the whole 12-week program because I know that's the biggest thing is when people don't have a plan of what exactly to eat every day, even if they don't choose to eat what's on my menu plan, that's okay. It's just giving them ideas of even though I've taken some of these food away from you, look at all this delicious food that you can still have and try new foods and introduce it. So yeah, for sure, we love different kombucha and yogurts and sauerkrauts and all of that.
Yeah, yeah. And it's great to make them because it's so much cheaper and easier.
You'll have to share some recipes with me. I haven't ventured out.
Oh, I'll send you some recipes for sure. Yes. And it's become quite popular to talk about gut health in the last few years. Do you find that people in general know about the importance of gut health and just how many functions the microbiome actually produces? Or is it something that is like, yeah, yeah, yeah?
Well, I feel like a lot of people are reaching out to me because they want the functional medicine approach. So they're a little bit more crunchy to begin with. But I don't think they understand how it's pretty much linked to everything. And that's what I really do is explaining all the different things of how it's linked and how it works. And I've always had a lot of clients come in that will do like remove one thing, like let's say just gluten. And then they're like, oh, it didn't work. I did elimination diet. I'm like, well, no, you have to actually do it in order. And the most important part is when you reintroduce that food. And that's what a lot of people will get tripped up on is reintroducing that food back in to really see how they feel after they've eaten it. So
Yes, yes, because it's not just that it's more scientific that way, but you can't tell if it's this or that element of this or that food if you're mixing them all up and you can't tell. It's like someone saying, well, it was the hamburger, and you're like, wait a minute, a hamburger is made up of several elements. How do we know which element?
yeah, because the food intolerances, and that's what people don't necessarily always have a food allergy. It's just a food intolerance. And that can take up to 3 days to show up. So I can tell you what I ate 3 days ago, let alone, if I knew it was causing me the reaction.
Yeah, yes, and that's one of the things with all this. A lot of the studies in nutrition is that they ask people, "What did you eat a year ago?" What?
I wouldn't know.
I don't remember what I ate yesterday. Yeah. But yes, so it's great because it sounds like what you do is really putting the human being at the front and center of their own health. And, no disrespect to conventional medicine. As you said, it's definitely, we literally couldn't live without it. But It feels like you go way deeper in what you do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And in that respect, I think the two worlds are complementary. And how common is it to be able to go see a functional nurse like yourself in the States?
Um, Not that common compared to conventional realm. It is a wave that's coming. More conventional or more functional medicine providers are popping up. So it's definitely people are becoming more aware of the foods that they're eating and they're wanting the specific help. But I would say like 1 out of 200 offices, you maybe will find one around. So we're very far and few between. So that's why I work telehealth only right now. I'm a stay-at-home mom as well. I have 3 kids and I homeschool them. So going to the office anymore is just not working for me. So I had to do what worked for me. But I can help all of Colorado, Michigan, and Ohio right now. So
Okay.
the telehealth has been my ability to expand and reach more people rather than just a brick and mortar.
Yeah, makes sense. Gosh. And I think that it's even less known in Canada where I am right now. But yeah, functional medicine is it's almost like it's alternative medicine.
I would say alternative, integrative, holistic. It's kind of all of those words are what I do. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Wow. It seems to be changing people's lives for the better, that's for sure.
that is. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for talking to us today. You're very inspirational in everything that you do to help people. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
I was so happy to talk to Amy because I often say on this podcast that we're all different and medical approaches are also different. And maybe the functional or integrative approach might suit you, but that doesn't mean that you have to exclude conventional medicine. But what I really like about integrative medicine is that they take their time to really go deep to find the root cause, the reason why you have your symptoms. So rather than just treating your symptoms, functional or integrative medicine goes deeper. And this approach changed my life because that's when I stopped eating sugar. I didn't want to stop eating sugar, but once I did and started looking at the reason why I was having my symptoms, that deeper understanding of what was causing my symptoms made me just not want to start eating sugar again. So I really respect Amy's approach, and it's very similar to my approach in the Freedom from Cravings Formula program. We start with you, and this program is customized and personalized for you. It's specifically designed by me to help you get rid of cravings so that you can slim down and finally feel in control around food, especially sugar. In the program, you'll get step-by-step guidance and customized support through the 5-step formula that I've developed to help you get control over cravings so that you can finally live your life with more energy and fit into your favorite clothes effortlessly and feel confident in your food choices so that you can ditch the shame and embarrassment that you feel every time your emotions make you slip or fall off the wagon, and so that you never feel like you're on some kind of a restrictive diet. If you're at the stage of your life where you're finally ready to look after yourself, let's chat. You can hop on a free clarity call with me at any time by going to aftersugarclub.com and clicking on the big green button, Book a Clarity Call. We'll have a quick 30-minute one-on-one chat where you'll be able to tell me more about your challenges and goals, and we'll be able to see how the Freedom from Cravings Formula program can help you. So go to aftersugarclub.com. Speak soon. That's it for this week. Keep in touch. and see you soon for another episode.